Hi, my name is Clinton Sanders, co-founder of Seaside Extended, a Microsoft Dynamics and CSP partner based in Cape Town, South Africa. Our primary focus at Seaside is Dynamics Nav and Business Central, as well as providing Azure, BI, Office 365, and Power Platform solutions. I've been working with Seaside for just under 2.5 years now. However, my experience with Nav, now Business Central, spans over the last 21 years. I also have a financial background and enjoy leveraging the financial capabilities that are available in Business Central. I decided to start a video series, this being the first one, focusing on accessing financial data from Business Central into Excel and producing rich financial reports. These videos are targeted at financial people that have struggled with manual processes to produce regular financial reports. The videos will be progressive, building on various techniques. This particular video will focus on accessing data from multiple companies in a single process from Excel. Let's get started. Before we start with Excel, let's examine the Business Central environment that we will use for this demonstration. What I have done is to install the latest version of Business Central on my computer. I renamed the default Kronos company to Seaside Extended Company 1. Then, using the companies page, I copied that company to a second company which I named Seaside Extended Company 2. Now I have two companies in my database that I can use for this demonstration. Obviously the data for each company is the same, which is not a real life scenario. However, that's good enough to demonstrate the concept of connecting to multiple companies. I have two here, but it could very easily have been 3, 4, or 100 companies. The concepts to connect to more than one company are the same. To expose data to external applications, we need to open the web services page. Okay, there we can, from this page, we can add web services that publish any Business Central page or query. In this example, I've published the financial summary web services page, which is right over there. This is a page that is delivered out of an extension that we wrote at Seaside, which is used for aiding financial reporting enhancements. I will elaborate more on this page in future videos. When you add queries or pages to the web services page, you have to give it a name. In this case, I've called this one Fin Summary. And then you have to click on the Publish field to expose the service externally. With that done, under the OData URL column, you'll notice that I have a URL now. If I click on that URL, a new browser window will open, and the data will be exposed to me in a format that is known as JSON. This is obviously not useful to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in the URL. Click on the URL. I'm going to go Control-C to copy that to my clipboard. I'm now ready to use this link in Excel. Okay, I now have Excel open with a new blank workbook ready to connect to the data. From Excel, you can already connect to numerous data sources. Business Central uses OData feeds to expose its data to external applications, and Excel is able to connect to OData feeds. So we need to access the Data tab on the Excel ribbon, and then we click on Get Data. We go down to Other Sources, and then we go down and find From OData Feed. The next thing that Excel expects from us is the URL. Okay, and since we copied that from the browser earlier, I can just paste that in here. When I click on OK, I will get a preview of the data from Business Central. I can transform this data further using Power Query, but in this particular example, because the data looks like it's like what I want, I'll just click on Load. Our data will load into an Excel table. In future videos, I will show you other ways that we can load this data other than in an Excel table. But for now, we want to see the data we have in Excel. When I copied the URL from the browser a little earlier, that was launched from Seaside Extended it was launched from the company Seaside Extended Company 1. And so the data that I have here is only for that one company. So how do I get the combined data from both companies? In order to answer that question, let's have a closer look at the URL and do a little fiddling with it. Okay, so I'm going to go File, oops, sorry, not File, I'm going to go Data, Get Data from other sources, from OData feed, and I'm going to repaste the URL. Okay, so the first part of the URL tells us which computer we're connecting to. Usually that's a server, but in my example, it is my local computer. The port number is the port that is set up on the Business Central service instance. The URL, the OData URL column that you saw in the web services page contains this port number that is configured for that service. The next part of the URL is the actual service instance itself. Here I'm using the standard Kronos demo service instance BC160. The next part of the URL is a literal reference to the word OData, which indicates that you're connecting to an OData source. Then we have a reference to the company. Okay, and that's indicated by the word company, and then in brackets the actual company we're connecting to. So here we are connecting specifically to Seaside Extended Company 1. The last part of the URL is the web service that we're connecting to. So what this URL is telling us is that we are connecting specifically to the Seaside Company 1 and specifically to the Fin Summary web service. Okay, we cannot reference a web service directly without specifying the company. So how do we get multiple companies? Let's see what happens when we remove both the web service and the company from the URL, the company name. So I'll leave the word company there, but I'll remove the company name and the web service. When I click on OK, we get an interesting result. What we get is a list of companies, and you might recognize that the columns here are the web services that we store in the web services page in Business Central. This is looking promising. Okay, from here, we cannot click load yet because this data is not looking like we need it to look like yet. Okay, so we're going to have to click on transform data. Transform data will launch a tool that is available to Excel to model data which can be repeated each time we need to refresh the data. With Power Query launched, we start off with the data preview that we saw in the previous screen, which is basically the list of the two companies and the web services columns. We only need to access this one web service here, the Fin Summary web service. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to click on the Choose Columns action in the Power Query ribbon. And then the next thing we'll be asked for is to choose the columns. Okay, so I'm going to actually just remove all the columns first. Then I'm going to select name and Fin Summary. When I click on OK, a new step gets added to the applied steps in Power Query. And then what I have now is just the two columns, the company name and the Fin Summary web services. In the Fin Summary column, I have this little icon here, which I can use to expand down to the columns in the web service. I usually remove this little option here at the bottom, and then I won't have the Fin Summary web service appended to all my column names, which just looks better. When I go OK, that column will now get expanded to the columns that exist inside the web services. Okay, I'm going to do one more step, and that is to rename this name column, which I'll do by double clicking on it. I'm going to rename that to company. And then I could transform this data further, but that's for a future video. For now, I'm going to basically just click close and load. So basically what I have here now, once this loads, it takes a little bit longer now because now it's two companies. Let's give it a second. Okay, so there it is. What I have now is essentially the same table that I had before, except with this one additional field called company. And I now have a table which contains the data for both companies, and I'm feeling great. And that's it. It's that easy to connect to multiple companies. Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next video where I will introduce the Financial Summary web service page and why it can be very useful to help you with your financial reporting from Excel. See you then.